What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Kick-Ass Podcast. We are here today to take a look at Saturday night's main event. Just wanted to give some quick thoughts on the show itself. Had a little bit of free time. Sadly, we're not live, so I miss you guys so much. You guys will definitely have to let me know what you thought in the comments of Saturday night's main event as a whole. Favorite match, what you thought of my decisions or my picks or whatever, anything like that. I think I wasn't one of those who went really far outside the box at all. I kind of stayed pretty safe with my picks here. So I got all of them right finally, which is a very rare occasion. Because normally I'm that one that'll try to pick one that's kind of out of the norm, but to me everything just kind of made sense here. I am happy we did not see a certain someone, which I'll get into here in a second. My dog Callie is right here, so shout out to Callie if you hear her growling or she lets out a bark or two. That is her. But yeah, I just wanted to at least get out some thoughts here really quick. As always, though, thank you guys so much for checking out the show. I truly appreciate it. I'm hoping to be able to do a live show this weekend. If not, do a watch along for the Rumble. I should be finding that out by Wednesday or so. Today it's Monday, so I should be finding out within the next couple days if I will be able to do that, and what that looks like, or if I'm not gonna be able to do a watch along, at least maybe some type of streaming on Saturday night itself for the Rumble. So definitely, if you not a plug or anything like that, but if you aren't already, follow me on Twitter at Kickash Podcast _ You can follow me personally at ASHMANNS, and I will kind of send out the final answer and the final decision on that. I'll hopefully by Wednesday, Thursday, the latest, so everyone can make arrangements. Not that we're meeting up anywhere. But yeah, if you aren't planning on watching the Rumble and you're going to kind of join us and things like that, we are discussing it on a couple shows. But yeah, I appreciate you guys as always. Though, if you feel so inclined, feel free to like the video here as well. It seemingly has been helping. I've gotten more and more comments from people where the videos have showed up in their feed, which is pretty cool. And that's how they found the show here. And a couple of them have even joined us live and just joined in the comment section. So that's cool with me. If you guys have listened to me in the past, I'm just kind of here, just shooting the shit, wrestling wise, and just giving my 2 cents. But I really like building a little community here and meeting and interacting with you guys. So thank you so much for all that. Now, all of that fluff out of the way, right? Let's get to the show itself. And the show as a whole, I thought it was what you expected it to be, right? And in my opinion, that wasn't a bad thing. I thought it was a pretty good show, and I really enjoyed the Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens segment. I almost called him Kevin Steen, but Kevin Owens segment, of course, with Shawn Michaels, which we obviously will be getting into in a moment. But I just really liked the passion that we got from Cody. So we'll get into that. Overall, the show though, it didn't quite feel at a PLE level, but it definitely kind of felt like one of those, like I've said before, like one of those celebratory type Raw things. Not necessarily that close where they bring. Well, I guess they did bring back legends, right? But not in the sense of like a Raw, even, which is what I compared it to as well. Raw debut on Netflix. But it felt like a little bit more of an important show than just a regular Raw or SmackDown. I guess we'll say. But to me, it didn't. It just didn't have that feel of a PLE, which is fine. It shouldn't have it. It definitely wasn't, right? It wasn't, and to be fair, that they weren't pitching it that way either. It was just a special show, a nostalgic show, really, as contradictory as that sounds as I'm talking. But just in the sense that because for instance, like the Raw reunion shows and stuff like that, it wasn't focusing on the past. It was kind of meshing the past into the present, which I thought they did a really nice job of. For instance, when the show started and opened up, we go back to my notes here. One of the first things that we saw, of course, Lillian Garcia is back. Shout out to Lillian. Was the double mics that they had, the old timey dual microphone set that fell from the ceiling. I thought that was really cool looking. Let's see if I can get a picture of it put up here. Here we go. Got that put up here, the double mics. But little things like that I thought was a really cool touch. I love the color scheme, right? If you guys are watching on YouTube, thank you. Appreciate that. If you're listening on audio, I appreciate that as well. But it was a double mic, like what they had at WrestleMania 1, for instance. Pretty certain. Just got a flashback, but I'm pretty certain. But yeah, I just love the little nostalgic throwbacks they had there. And then as well, which is it's kind of cut off here, but the referees also had their classic blue, solid blue, like a light baby blue button up with the bow tie. And I thought that was a really cool touch as well. See if I can get that put up here as well. There we go, and it's pretty fitting as for the main event also. Keep saying as well, I noticed that. But and that's actually I could pick up the double mic is I need to stop saying as well. When you do audio and you do stuff like this, like you pick up on like some of the repetitive words that you use. So I'm trying to be more mindful of that. But there is I forget the dude's name, but shout out to him. He's a really, really solid and really good referee. But as you guys can see there again, if you're watching on YouTube, just a nice, very simple blue button up shirt with the bow tie. I think it's really cool. So shout out to WWE for doing things like that. I thought it was a really nice touch, and I hope they continue to do that in the future. I There's actually a Twitter account somewhere. I think it's probably titled like SmackDown Fist is as funny as that sounds. But for the old Fist, I don't know if you guys remember that, and I may be aging myself, but the SmackDown Fist from back in the day that was coming through the ceiling. It had cracks and stuff like that around it. Oh, it was just such a dope layout. But between that and the themed pay per views that they used to do back in the day, like one of my other all time favorites as well is the King of the Ring throne that they used to have. I just think that just such a dope visual. Let's see if I can pull up the fist here really quick. And again, if you guys are watching on YouTube, you can check it out. But here's a SmackDown Fist here again. If you're watching on YouTube, if you know, you know. Man, such good fucking times, guys. Good fucking times. But also, and it was just such a cool layout, man. It was so, I mean, not simple because the artistry that it took and whoever created this set to do it. I'm gonna throw that back up there. It's just bravo, bravo. I just love the shattered effect from obviously the fist going through what is symbolized to be glass, and then the screens there. I just thought this was the coolest setup ever. And if you're looking at the visual, you also see the pyro that they used to have right above the fist, and then the logo. Just so well done, man. I'm just dying for them to do one of their retro shows for SmackDown. Bring out that set, man. Bring out the entire set. You know you got that shit back, like in this. What is it? The warehouse, the infamous warehouse. Bring that shit out, man. So between the fist, and then my got to be probably top five easily, if not top three, if not favorite. But it's always the first one that I think of when I'm thinking about shit like this. And again, I'm not even, you guys aren't even here with me live. I'm already on the side tangent, which is completely not related to a Saturday night's main event, but it kind of is, right? But that is the throwback sets for the pay per views that I was just mentioning. But I'm gonna bring that up here from one of my favorite pay per views as well, 2001 King of the Ring, and appropriately enough, it was this screenshot was taken during Kurt Angle's entrance music, which who knows what number match that was when he was coming out. But I love the chair, man. I remember seeing that chair, and little Ashley was just like, "Yo, that is the dopest thing." I wouldn't have said dopest at that time, but that is just the coolest thing ever. And it's probably with the head shift to electrify and all that crazy shit. But I just remember sitting there thinking, like, man, like, especially because Jeff Hardy was one of my favorites. Like, wouldn't it be cool if he would have, like, he wasn't on this? I'm pretty certain he wasn't on this pay per view. But I just remember thinking, like, man, wouldn't it be cool if he did like a swanton off of that? Or even if he was like somehow able to climb to the top of the back of the chair, or maybe even to like the top where the head shit is and do a swanton, or, obviously the angle and trajectory and all that bullshit science, right? That would have had to come into effect. But that was just my little crazy mind just going ape shit at the time. Um, but in just the simplicity of it as well, it's a chair, but it's so cool, man, and it really makes the pay per view stand out and the event stand out. So that's another reason why I just always really enjoy them doing shit like that. And I wish and I hope that they would get back to it rather. But leading back into Saturday night's main event, little things like that is what made me enjoy the event as well as a whole. So again, props to them for that, and I hope they continue to bring back nostalgia, but also make traditions going forward too. Like there's a lot to be said for tradition and callbacks, throwbacks, all that good stuff. But you can only use it and go back to the barrel, or the well, whatever the saying is, so many times, right? And that's I'm not gonna get in my soapbox, but it's just a kind of like a fear of mine too. It's just that we are gonna get so comfortable and so wanting and willing to just piggyback off of the past and what we know works, that we won't get as creative. And especially with technology and stuff now, just not going to go down that rabbit hole. But you guys know me. I'm going to try to steer back to the task at hand, and that is Saturday night's main event. But just wanted to at least get the aesthetics out of the way, production, all that good stuff. Yeah, so props to WWE for that. Of course, we all know that Hulk Hogan dropped out of Saturday night's main event as well because he didn't know that his son was getting married on that same day. Who'd have thunk it, right? What are the odds? What are the odds, that your son just so happens to let you know that he's getting married on the exact same day? Didn't miss him here though. And in place of good old Hulkster, we got Ted DiBiase, which, I believe, didn't Ted DiBiase have some issues as well? I mean, not nowhere near like the Hulkster, right? Um, but I'm pretty certain he had some like, it wasn't like banking issues or legality issues, something like that. I'm actually very curious. Welfare fraud. That's what it was. Duh. I'm actually gonna read this and pull this up here really quick because it's relevant. Good old Wikipedia. All right. So, and again, this is just accusations. I don't know. I guess I'll find out here as well. Getting informed via Wikipedia, the most reliable source, right? um, I don't know if he's been found guilty, not guilty. So this is alleged accusations per the title. In February 2020, it was reported that DiBiase's ministry received 2. Oh, so let me go back really quick. I didn't think that would have any relevance. I didn't want to bring the ministry into it, but apparently that's the subject. DiBiase is now a Christian minister. In 1999, he founded Heart of David Ministry and travels the world ministering to churches, camps, and conferences, including Promise Keepers and Youth of the Nation. Ted is also the author of Every Man Has His Price, a part autobiography and part Christian testimony. What a combination there. All right, so a little bit of backstory there. So continuing on, in February 2020, it was reported that DiBiase's ministry received more than 2.1 million in welfare funds from the state of Mississippi after his son, Brett, was hired as deputy administrator of the state's Department of Human Services. His son, Brett, pleaded guilty, to creating fraudulent statements in what has been labeled as Mississippi's largest public embezzlement case in state history. Holy shit, bro, I did not fucking know this. In October 2021, a court ordered Ted DiBiase Sr. to pay $722,299 of the misappropriated funds given to his Heart of David Ministries. In May 2022, the Mississippi Department of Human Services sued DiBiase, his sons, plural, and retired NFL. Oh shit, that's where I heard it. And retired NFL quarterback Brett Favre and several others to recover more than 20 million in money, quote unquote, squandered from the Temporary Assistance for Needy Families Anti-Poverty Program. Shut the fuck up, dude. I had no idea it was all this. In April 2022, the Mississippi Office of State Auditor reported that DiBiase personally received a $250,000 check from the Family Resource Center, a Mississippi welfare grantee, to, quote, provide services as a motivational speaker, unquote. DiBiase forwarded an email from the welfare grantee to his sons, Ted DiBiase Jr. and Brett DiBiase, stating, "Look what I got today," and quote unquote. DiBiase says his famous name made his family a target for federal investigators. Quote, "We're caught in the middle of it. If I didn't have a celebrity name, they wouldn't even be looking at me," end quote. All right, bud. On February 22nd, 2024, Ted's ex-agent opened up in an exclusive interview to discuss his thoughts on Ted's involvement, where E-Wrestling News quoted him as saying, quote, 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 "It just doesn't match the man that I've known. Ted is careful in the sense that he wouldn't do that. He has a real love for God and his wife. He just wouldn't do that, in my honest opinion," end quote. All right, so, well, shit, guys. I was not expecting all that. Damn, okay. In June 2023, DiBiase admitted that he is suffering from a severe brain trauma in his Everybody's Got a Pod podcast. That's good. Shout out to the name of that pod. That's a good one. Damn. So, I mean, I hope he's doing okay. That's not great, but holy shit, y'all. Oops, wrong button. I did not expect all that. And I thought I heard some shit about Ted. All right, well, I guess now we all know. If you guys knew, I'm late. I heard I thought it was something like I had said, like banking or business related, like nothing, like I said, nothing crazy like Hulk Hogan. But wow, all right, well shit. Back to Saturday night's main event we go. But yeah, so he was taking the place of Hulk Hogan. So there's that. And yeah, let me pull up the match card here again. All right, so in the official numbers for Saturday night's main event, the tickets distributed were 15,493 with only 230 remaining. So shout out to them, damn near another sellout. Props to them, and of course the San Antonio, Texas area. Shout out Canada Dry. Again, if you're looking for a sponsorship, hit up your girl. All right. Sorry, I could have paused that there, guys. But the opening match, which I got right as well, I was shocked by. Again, nothing probably crazy, but just the match order. Nia and Rhea kicked off the card itself here, and I thought it was a really good match. There was one sequence, one transition where Nia countered a Hurricane Rana, a springboard Hurricane Rana into a powerbomb attempt. That was then countered by a Code Red by Rhea Ripley. So I just thought that was a really cool sequence. And just as a whole, like, and then the end, of course, Rhea showing her strength, bolstering up Nia from the turnbuckle, and then hitting the riptide on Nia as well. Just it was just such a solid match. And again, you guys know me if you've listened to me in the past. I love me some Nia Jax here, so props to her. I think she looked really good in this match, and I was pleasantly surprised. I was expecting to be pretty decent, but especially for a quick feud, a quick match, I thought this was solid. So props to both women involved. I think it was great for Rhea. It was a solid defense and victory under her belt, and it kind of filled the void between now going through the Royal Rumble, which is obviously this coming weekend, and then who her opponent is going to be going after, because you do have the not the issue, but the situation where the winner of the Rumble has two champions on, well, technically three if you include NXT, but they have three, we'll say three sets of champions to choose from, right? If you're the women's Rumble winner, you obviously could choose SmackDown, Raw, or NXT, and vice versa for the men. So there's a 1 in 3. What does Scott Steiner say? A 1 in 33 percent chance that Rhea may or may not be chosen as the combatant for the Rumble winner. So if she's not, then you need a story and something for Rhea to sink her teeth into and go forward. So carrying her into WrestleMania. Of course, we know for sure we're getting the return of Charlotte Flair, so that's not going to be a question. But surprisingly, and maybe not surprisingly, but curiously enough is the better word. We have not heard any mention of Becky Lynch on TV, unless I missed something, which is a good possibility because some days I'm busier than others. But we have not seen any type of remnants of a Becky Lynch, like any signs or seeds of her coming back or anything like that. So it's just, I think, because again, I thought that they probably should have waited and just made Charlotte's return a surprise, because it was not that it was going to be this grand surprise anyway. But why? Like, if even if we're already thinking it's going to happen, like, could have just waited, and not done the video packages. But it is what it is. But we are not getting that for Becky Lynch, which is my point. So it's very, very curious, I'll say. Very curious. But that was my point as well. So if we get Becky Lynch coming back, she could potentially go after Rhea Ripley, which I wouldn't necessarily be so gung ho for, but I mean, I think it'd be a very good match, right? Like, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't feel 100% fresh to me. So I just want, obviously, what's best for them all, right? But I just want Rhea to have a strong showing at Mania, going in as a champion, defending her title. And yeah, I just think that I don't want it to be like I've heard some rumblings over like possibly having her pair up against Bianca, and I just don't think that would be. Not this year. The cards aren't aligning for that because Bianca is tied up with the whole Jade who done it all thing, and I'd imagine we'd be seeing something regarding Jade probably soon. If I don't think she would return at the Rumble because that would be kind of odd to be taken out like that and then return at the Rumble. But I guess you could, right? If Bianca Belair is down and she needs help type shit, and then the next entrant comes out and it just so happens to be Jade or shortly thereafter. So it could be something like that. But then Jade is pissed off at Bianca. You know, Bianca is standing up, or and not Bianca because I don't think. Well, she was one of the foes, right? But Naomi was one of the persons of interest as well. So it could be one of those situations, whether who either of them are down or someone completely different. Whoever attacked Jade, that's how she could come back and start her revenge, right? So we'll see, we'll see. But I think it really Bianca right now is just tied up with not tied up, but she it directly and indirectly is tied up with Jade, and if and when she comes back, but it's got to be soon, in my opinion, because if not, then I mean, what are we? What are we like? Is she gonna miss WrestleMania? Which I just think, unless something is seriously wrong, because I know there was speculation on whether it was legit or not legit. So if she is legit, hurry, stay out as long as you need to, girl. Like, do what you need to do. But if it was just for storyline, then I'd imagine, within the next, if not the Rumble, within the next month to get something ready for Mania. So that would be my only concern there. But it just really depends on what you're gonna do with the Rumble winner, and in both situations, right? To be fair, but the women's more. I mean, God, everything is so up in the air this year, which is great. Which is great. It's a great. But yeah, wrapping up. Braun, your IC champion, defending against Sheamus, and a lot of people. This was the one that a lot of people were kind of putting their money on to if a title was going to change hands, and that's kind of what I said too, or an quote unquote upset, right? Or something that wouldn't be as safe. If that was gonna happen, it would be here. And it didn't. And I'm very happy it didn't because like I said in the preview on One True Sport, shout out to everyone at One True Sport. And if you guys check me out over there, thank you for doing so. But I was thinking, like I didn't wasn't heavily thinking, but I did bring it up because the possibility was there that they may want to pull the trigger and have Sheamus finally win his IC championship, but it just didn't seem like the right time for me. Um, and my fear between this and the main event, um, which I'll just get it out and over with here, was that Goldberg was going to make his return if it wasn't going to be in the Royal Rumble in the main event confronting Gunther. I should know this would be kind of crazy when you say it out loud, but I was concerned maybe he would make his return to face off against Braun Breaker. And I know he would be going after the IC championship. That makes no sense, but he wants his retirement match. So something like that, he's going to want the top dog, right? And it'd be different if he was going to be sticking around for a few matches, right? Then he can kind of go through a couple guys, meet up with Braun Breaker or whatever. But he just wants his retirement match that he's owed. So whatever. But I'm just very thankful that we did not see Goldberg. So shout out to the wrestling universe for that and the wrestling gods, JBL, for that. I'm just happy it didn't happen. But the moment that really stands out to me in this match more than any others, like when I scrolled down and I saw that this was next on my list here, that spear from Braun Baker to Sheamus, fucking brutal. Sheamus was jumping off of the stairs, I believe it was either the stairs or the apron. Let's see if I put it in my notes here. Yeah, I didn't put it in my notes, but Sheamus was jumping. I think he was coming over the stairs, and oh my god, like Breaker came out of nowhere and just speared the fuck out of Sheamus, dude. Speared the fuck out of him. Like one of the hardest spears and just most pinpoint accurate spears I have ever seen in my life. It's just insane. Insane. So props to Braun Breaker, bro. And props to Sheamus because my ass would have been counted out because I would not have been able to get back up. I'd have been like, shit, you got to give me more than 10 seconds or you got to pick me up. You got to help me out here because I'm broken. Man, like I can't even imagine. But of course, Braun Breaker officially retained the championship here, and my opinion at this point, we're going strong for Mania, and I think it'd kind of be crazy to take it off of him at this point prior to Mania. Have him go into strong, even if it's against Sheamus again, which I'm not really advocating for because we've seen it now a couple times or some variation of it. But man, I'd be remiss to say like if I wouldn't want to see it at all just because of such a badass match. I just would want something a little bit fresher for Braun at Mania. You know what I mean? But I mean, shit. If you're going against Sheamus at WrestleMania, that's not a bad place to be. You know what I mean? So it'd be interesting. It's so fun this year too. The journey to WrestleMania. Just the landscape that we're in. So again, props to WWE, Triple H, all the guys and creative for the speculation this year because nothing, in my opinion, is very obvious at all. Yeah, I was trying to think of something. I was gonna bring up Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens, which I actually will be doing here. That's a great segue. I wasn't even trying to, but um, I'll get into my thoughts there for WrestleMania here in a second. But of course, we got Triple H, Shawn Michaels making his way out first. There was a fan on the right side of the entranceway that had up one of those little signs that said HBK is mid, which I just thought was fucking hilarious. It's so inaccurate, right? Like of all the things you could call Shawn Michaels, you call him mid. Like, bro, you're just asking for attention. But I think Shawn even laughed it off or something. He acknowledged it. I think he laughed it off. I mean, he ain't gonna flick him off at this point, you know. He's just not going to. That's not the Shawn we have anymore. But Shawn came out first, and then they went to a commercial break since it was airing on NBC along with Peacock. But by the time he came back, Shawn had said that he was sweating through his shirt because he was like out there just enjoying all his time in San Antonio and dancing around and all that shit. So we couldn't see it at first, and he was wearing a nice solid navy blue, kind of like a satin shirt. But eventually in the segment, he did end up taking his jacket off, so you could see my guy was serious when he said he was sweating through it. But that's cool, just makes him more human, makes him like I don't know, like I don't know, this is gonna sound really odd and maybe disturbing, but I just like when we see real shit like that from quote unquote celebrities or like I guess they are celebrities. But like just like I don't know, like when they like sweat is normal, you know what I mean? And like especially you're out there, you have you're just I mean he wasn't in a tie and everything, but he had a dress jacket on. He was just very nice. He was under the spotlights, right? There's so many lights in there, dancing, doing all that shit. Adrenaline's going, so yeah, like you're gonna get worked up, and yeah, it's just normal. You know what I mean? But that was cool. It just felt like a cool moment there. So I don't know why it just stood out to me. But um, Cody Rhodes came out, and then Kevin Owens came out as well. Kevin was wearing a Cody Sucks Eggs shirt, which I have to bring up here. I got that pulled up here. It's just too good not to show. Kevin Owens has just been on this game, man. With these shirts lately, just fucking incredible. And even on SmackDown, when he was interacting with Big Jim, Jimmy Uso, he had Naomi's shirt on. Just fantastic, man. Just fantastic what this guy does. And that's what I was saying when I was referencing earlier. I would love to see WWE pull the trigger and put the title on Kevin at the Rumble. I know they're not going to. But man, like I just think that you just have something here with Kevin Owens. He's hot right now. Not that he hasn't been hot before, but man, like there's just something different about the run that he's on. And I just think that even if it's just until Mania, right? Like even if the story is Cody's going back to WrestleMania to try to regain his championship, I don't know if that would be as exciting, right? Definitely not as exciting as other stories that are potential for, potential stories for Cody to be going into Mania. But there's something with Kevin right now, guys, and I don't know. It's kind of a bummer not gonna get it. And again, this is me being a huge Cody Rhodes fan. I just think that you have something I with Kevin Owens right now, and I wish they would pull the trigger. The way he just bodies each segment that he's in, regardless of who it's with, it's so telling. It's so telling, and his range. It's just man, like almost feel for the guy. I almost feel for him. But I want to. You can also buy the shirt in case you wanted to. Bam! Cody Sucks Eggs. You can get your own official Cody Sucks Eggs shirt via WWEshop.com, of course. Nothing on the back, keeping it classic, just like our guy Terry Funk, the origin of the saying, you know, a lot of people didn't know, but it's Terry Funk used to call Dusty Rhodes an egg sucking dog. So and he made a red shirt that says Dusty sucks eggs. So that's where it came from. In case you didn't know, but yeah, it's just tremendous. It's tremendous, and I love everything that Kevin Owens is doing. And I just wish that we are a different point in the year that maybe we could get a title change because I just think that Kevin deserves it, man. He's so good, but the segment itself was what you thought it was, but like I referenced earlier, the passion that we got from Cody Rhodes, I think it was about time, and we needed to see Cody get pissed off and just have those veins come out and just get angry with Kevin and just say enough, Kevin. Like pretty much we're tired of your shit type of thing. And I love Shawn Michaels just standing there in the background, just kind of letting it all play out and letting it breathe too. I really liked that once Kevin or Cody called out Kevin and then Kevin responded. I liked that Shawn Michaels was doing his part too. Like he was letting it play out, but he kind of was trying to put a into the situation before it escalated. Obviously, it continued to do so. I was thinking potentially, or is Shawn going to get like a package pile driver? But he did not. He ended up getting shoved by Kevin Owens and set him up for the package pile driver itself, which I thought that they were gonna hit. Going into it, I was like, "Oh man, they're gonna give Michaels a package pile driver, bro." And then when I saw the table, I was like, "Ah, oh, bro, it's not looking good for Shawn. Not looking good for Shawn." But of course, Cody being there, he wasn't gonna let that happen, right? He saved Shawn Michaels, and then Shawn Michaels hit Kevin Owens with a beautiful sweet chin music, and it's just so jarring to me too the things that again with Kevin Owens is involved in the pile driver prior, just these one moves, these like one move that you hit and the effect that it has. Like I remember again, I'm one of those people now the super kick meant something, man. Like when Shawn especially hit that sweet chin music, bro, like it was done. And if someone kicked out of that, it was a holy shit moment. It didn't happen a lot. Like granted, in the bigger matches, it did, and with Undertaker, it definitely did happen, right? So I'm not saying that other companies or other wrestlers or the newer generation, right? To be again that old person, they were the ones who started all these like false kickouts and stuff. But it wasn't done nearly as much, right? And if you had a finishing move like the sweet chin music, not everyone was going out there throwing the sweet chin music, right? Like throwing super kicks. If your move was the razor's edge, right? Like you wouldn't be having people going out there and hit variations of it or hitting the same move or the code red. Everyone does the code red now. So it's just things like that I miss from back in the day. And it reminded me of just seeing Shawn hit that super kick. I was like, man, like, because the way Kevin sold it as well. Like, he wasn't knocked out, but he sold it. He rolled onto the ring and he sold it. And again, it wasn't like he was out there dying, but it was effective. So I just really loved it. They ended up attaching both of the titles to that brass brass ring. um irony, right? But it's like a brass, almost like a hanger, that they that hangs above the ring now that holds the title belt. So they're getting that ready for next week. So my guy Cody is not going to have his title until then, and this is gonna be the first time since WrestleMania that he's been without his championship. So I'm very excited for the match, though. Very excited for the match. I just wish if there is some way, man, to have Kevin win, that'd be dope. But we'll see. Not holding my breath, and I get why. I'm just saying as a fan. But next up, we have Braun Strowman versus Jacob Fatu, which was the match of the night. Which is, it may sound crazy, but this shit was brutal as fuck. And shout out to Braun Strowman, man. Like Strowman really went out there and put in work to the match and really made Fatu look even better. You know what I mean? Because it takes two to tango. But man, the story of all this is what happened after the match. So after the match, and Fatu again just looked like such a monster. But the match itself didn't actually have a winner, which I don't even know why I didn't think about going into it, which makes so much fucking sense, especially when you think about like the matches that he had with Bronson Reed. I don't know what name I said there, but Bronson Reed in the monster matches, there was no winner. There was a disqualification because Fatu pretty much couldn't control himself and ended up throwing Dan Engler, the referee, out of the ring. Strowman had set up, or I'm sorry, Fatu had set up Strowman into the turnbuckle and sitting down. It was running back. I don't even know how many probably at least like what, 5, 6 of the what does he call it? I know I have it here. The butt bumps. I don't. That's not the official name. The butt bumps. Some articles, bro. But yeah, I pulled it up. I guess that movie doesn't have an official name. Because it's just listed here as a hip attack. So butt bump, hip attack, whatever. But he hit. I think it was like 6. Yeah, it ended up being 6 total hip attacks, butt bumps onto Strowman, who was, like I said, sitting in the corner. And after maybe the 4th or 5th one, Strowman was bloody, and or maybe it was after the final one. It was right around obviously the ending, but Strowman, man, I don't know if they got me, man. I don't know if it was real or not, but that shit, like Strowman was busted open from his mouth. Like it was a good amount of blood, just like not pouring out, but coming out of his mouth. So definitely check out that final sequence if you haven't seen it already. But that wasn't the end of it because Fatu then hit, oh god, how many was it? Because he ended up getting a chair, brought it back in the ring. Security makes sense, right? Finally came running out. We do still have Tamatonga nearby as well, but keep that in mind. He didn't really do much. But towards the end, like it got to a point where even he was like, "All right, Fatu, like let's go, bro, let's go." But we had Nick Aldis coming out, some other producers and security guards, quote unquote, right? But Fatu showed past them and then started hitting his double jump moonsault onto Strowman. I was trying to see if we have a final count of how many he had, how many he hit, but again, probably like 4 or 5 double jump moonsaults. And each time, just the precision and accuracy of that, just fucking beautiful, man. Just beautiful. So shout out to him, man. I'm so happy that we're all along for the journey now and watching the rise of Jacob Fatu because dude is gonna be a fucking boss, man. And in no time, he just looked like a killer, just a natural born killer. You know what I mean? So I'm excited for him. But it got to a point where, like I said, even Tomatonga was like, "All right, bro, let's go, like please, let's stop." He didn't say please, but he was like, "All right, let's go." That set up and led us to our main event. We had Gunther facing off. Again, there was a good build and special home show on Raw with Jay and the segment with Gunther. They really made a strong case for Jay to potentially win. You know, like if you're a newer fan or a younger fan, like there was even not even newer or younger, right? But it was very easy to buy into, okay, like there's a possibility that Jay's got it here, you know. And again, if it was a different time frame than going into Mania, just like with Kevin Owens, there may be a stronger possibility, but I just didn't think that this was going to be the time for Jay, sadly enough, because I feel like, and I even said it on a previous show, I feel like if this was a different era, you know, specifically not even just time of the year, but a different era, there could be a even stronger probability that Jey Uso would win the heavyweight championship or may have already won the heavyweight championship from Gunther. But I think they're holding that card in their back pocket until they absolutely need to and until the moment is just particularly right. And there's just too much going on in the title scene right now. And I truly feel like Jay would just get lost in the shuffle. And even if he were to beat Gunther, he wouldn't be a main focal point going into Mania, just to be honest, you know, and you don't want that to happen. For that big of a moment, you want that to mean something and to breathe and to live on its own. So as much as I want, you know, the heavyweight championship for Jay at some point, I don't want it right now just because I don't want it to end up being like the IC championship with him where he wins it. It's a cool moment. It's a feel good moment. He walks around with it for a couple weeks, maybe a month, and then it's whatever other storyline is coming along that he needs to drop the championship for and address, or not vice versa, but something else that's not even more important, but just more pressing, you know, and needs to be on the front burner at this time. So that's why I'm not too sad that he lost the championship, or not lost the championship, but he lost the ability to win the championship and he lost the match rather. Because I feel like it only a matter of time, like I said, until he does win it. Whether it's a year from now, 2 years from now, the time will be there and the time will be right. But the fans love Jey Uso, so I can see why a lot of people were making more of a case to pull the trigger now. But Gunther, I just feel like he's too strong and he's too solid of a champion and just too much of what you want in a heel and a bad guy champion, especially going into Mania while you're still trying to sort out the pieces, right, and put together that puzzle. That you want a strong heel champion to oppose your strong babyface champion as well on the Cody Rhodes side to make sure the opponents line up for Mania and to make it as big of a Mania as possible, right? That's always the whole point. And again, we had The Rock looming out there, just hovering over. So I'm not going to get into that right now. So you do have that influx. You have Roman Reigns. What is he going to do? You have CM Punk, the winner of the Rumble, right? Whoever that's going to be. A lot's going to be happening within the next few weeks. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you made it this far, I truly appreciate it. Feel free to like, subscribe, all that good stuff. We're making our way to 500. We just cracked 450 this past weekend, which is pretty cool. Again, I know it's a small little channel compared to a lot of you guys out there who are in the thousands, over 100,000 and stuff like that. Props to you guys. Again, just kind of make my little way out here and just using this as a little platform to kind of chill and interact with you guys. And I started this out like a little diary for myself, a little wrestling journal. It's pretty cool interacting with you guys. So thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. You guys know where to follow me at, subscribe here, all that good stuff. You know what to do at this point. I will be live this Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern over on YouTube, but over on One True Sports. So feel free to join me Saturday morning. And if I don't do another show here on the Kickash podcast before then, which I'll try to, but depending on how the week goes or whatever, until next time, guys, thank you so much for watching and for being here. I truly appreciate it. And as always, enjoy some wrestling and stay safe, guys. Take care.